Ladies and gentlemen, in the 90s, Bill Clinton was investigated by Ken Starr. Ken Starr was able to find the blue dress, Monica's, because he was initially investigating Whitewater, and then during the Whitewater investigation, happened to start an investigation of an attorney that was allegedly helping Bill Clinton silence people with favors. So anyway, that was how, and that attorney allegedly had ties to Monica Lewinsky, or tried to help Monica Lewinsky, tried to silence Monica Lewinsky by offering her favorable employment, after the internship. Anyway, you go from Whitewater, a business deal, a failed business deal, and a whole bunch of obstruction of justice to where Ken Starr goes from Whitewater to a blue dress. Oh, I can't believe he did that to me. It was so wrong. Luckily, we got Trump with a dossier about my life. He went from Whitewater, Ken Starr, special counsel, went from Whitewater to misconduct within the Oval Office. And so the events that took place between Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. It was a huge leap, but all you need is one link. So the link was an attorney. And you have the same type of link with Jake Sullivan. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay. So I was trying to find a link between Hunter and the Durham probe. There's one correlation or, law firm, and that's the law firm where Michael Sussman worked. He's the indicted attorney, the third person indicted in the Durham probe. That law firm not only purchased the Steele dossier, but also furthered the Alpha Bank hoax, which got Sussman indicted. That law firm also worked for Biden's campaign, helped him win the presidency. So that's the link, but there's also Jake Sullivan. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I know this is long-winded, but it's very important. Jake Sullivan is Biden's national security advisor. Jake Sullivan, as Biden's national security advisor, tried to further a myth, a fantasy, that Trump was communicating with the Kremlin through servers. That never happened. We had top secret and special access program intelligence on Clinton's servers, but of course, nobody knows how they got there, and Comey, Inspector Clouseau, said, oh, well, there was no intent to own servers. Private servers inherently are used to hide your communication anyway. Jake Sullivan is the conduit, the link, the bridge that goes from the Durham probe to Hunter and his current tax probe. Michael Sussman's law firm could also be that conduit or bridge. The Durham probe special counsel is very broad, extremely expansive, and even more so than Ken Starr, because Ken Starr, reading about it here in this article, old article here in the Washington Post, Starr's probe expansion draws support criticism, January 23rd, 1998. There had to be a 3-judge panel giving Starr the approval to expand his probe. The mission statement for the Durham probe special counsel says it could look into anything, anybody, any government entity. In fact, like I showed you in the last segment, there's a Lawfare article talking about, the title is, How Do You Stop a Problem Like Durham? Of course, it's a problem. to the establishment or the left-leaning, liberal Democrats in the D.C. establishment. Big problem. They don't want a special counsel investigating corruption within the Democratic Party or within Clinton's campaign, the DNC, or Hunter and Joe. Hit subscribe, by the way, to this channel. We're over 195,000 subs. Jake Sullivan is, and even more importantly, because he's a current national security advisor, Jake Sullivan also tried to spread baseless and false claims about Trump that were initially brought to the FBI by Michael Sussman. Sussman is indicted for lying to James Baker. So if this is somewhat confusing, hit subscribe to this channel. If you want to support my work, my Patreon is below. I'll do a segment in a couple of hours talking about the inverted yield curve. That's right. We're going to get to the recession and the stock market crash that I did predict in my Federalist article in the pinned comments. So read that Federalist article. Hit subscribe to the stock market crash channel. I'll be doing more segments on that channel. Jake Sullivan can be asked by the Durham probe. I'm sure he has, or he might. They might not yet have asked him. They might not have asked him yet about Hunter, the laptop. Did he know about the laptop? Did he know? I believe Sullivan during the campaign also stated that there was disinformation within the laptop from you-know-where. Okay? If he tried to muddy the waters, or if he lied about Hunter's emails, which are now being used by the federal government. So that was a legitimate news story. It was suppressed by media, by social media, by a whole bunch of intelligence officials who, of course, lied through their teeth. In fact, there was a Washington Post article today or the other day talking about changing norms in society. And it's really not a matter of free speech being infringed upon. It's just a matter of changing norms. The problem is you could have already canceled an MSNBC pundit, a 4 million sub YouTuber. The list is endless. Howard Stern, the left, or the establishment, or the mainstream cultural norms don't go after liberal pundits, or they barely go after them, and they immediately accept any apology. Sometimes you'll see them devouring their own. But when it comes to a standard, when it comes to leveling the same condemnation and outrage, you're never going to get Joe Biden or anyone around, any Democrat. You're never going to get them canceled, or they're never going to experience the same consequences that a conservative or a supporter of President Trump would experience if they said the same thing or did the exact same type of, exhibited the same type of behavior. That's the issue here. You have Jake Sullivan, and you have all of these people. The 3 indictments within the Durham probe. You have Clinton purchasing a dossier filled with disinformation compiled by people associated with the Kremlin. That's okay. Nobody's talking about that now, but you have some people who won't drink vodka. But it's okay for them to just spread lies about Trump through a dossier compiled by people linked to Putin. My point to you is there are two standards of free speech. There are two standards of law enforcement or investigation or political intrigue. Democrats would never allow a Steele dossier to be used against them to initiate investigations. They would never in a million years allow that. Democrats do not cancel liberal pundits, liberal actors, journalists who, say things or do things that are egregious, that are deemed horrendous in this day and age. That's the problem with free speech in this country. There was the Washington Post article that is this so long-winded? Where am I going? The Washington Post article the other day talked about free speech and said, well, gee, you know what? Conservatives or Republicans just don't like the consequences because those consequences prevent them from saying bad things. Well, the problem is not so much that they're changing norms. The problem is that these norms are implemented by people who do not go after their own side, who only level outrage and condemnation when it suits them politically, and then when it's their side, when Hunter, with his emails to his lawyer, for example, says the most offensive word in the English language, when it's anyone on their side, could be Hunter Biden, could be Howard Stern, could be anybody, they don't level the same condemnation and outrage. The same consequences for these changing norms, these norms that are said to be changing and evolving. The same consequences are not leveled out at Democrats or the people who are yelling at the top of their lungs saying this Trump voter said this, he should be canceled, she should be canceled. Also, I'm going all over the place. Also, so they're hypocrites. Basically, they're hypocrites. And norms within society change, evolve, of course, but they don't evolve through coercion and through groupthink and through financial consequences. They evolve because people genuinely feel a certain way, and they genuinely feel a certain way regardless of political viewpoint. That's different from what's taking place today. Certain ideas within the mainstream now, if you didn't have the coercion, you wouldn't have those ideas be as popular as they are. That's another story. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Jake Sullivan is one of the links to Hunter's tax probe and to a very sprawling, never-ending Durham probe special counsel. More people will be indicted very soon. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. Thank you.